Hey friend, welcome to another episode in the Revelation Project, chapter 21. And I saw a new heaven, new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 13, I believe it is, talks about how there's going to be a new heaven and new earth, and the old one is like perished with like this intense heat and what have you. There's coming a time. Chapter 21 gives us a glimpse into our future home of everlasting life, okay? In the future, what it's going to be like after the millennial reign, after the great white throne judgment, after all this is said and done, the new thing to come, right? And it says, and there was no more sea. I don't quite understand what that means. I don't think any of us do, but something about the new heaven, new earth, there's no more sea there. And I saw John saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride, adorned for her husband. So when God brings this new Jerusalem, this new city coming out of heaven, not from the earth, but out of this multiple dimensional place of activity called heaven, he brings this and he's presenting this as a bride. It doesn't say it is the bride. It is as a bride adorned. So God bringing New Jerusalem as a present, if you will. It is being presented as a bride. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them, and be their God. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying. Neither shall be there any more pain, for the former things are passed away. The tears are connected with former things. No more crying, no more pain, because of the former things. They're all passed away. He wipes away all tears. Some folks feel like the memory bank will be removed, if you will. Not sure. And he that sat upon the throne said, behold, I make all things new. Not some, but all things new. And he said unto me, write, for these words are true and faithful. And he said unto me, it is done. I am the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, and I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of water life freely. He that overcomes shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son. But the fearful, the unbelieving, the abominable, murderers, and whoremongers, sorcerers, idolaters, liars, they shall all have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. What is the second death? Lake and fire. You see, death and hell are going to be cast into the lake of fire. And that is the second death. I think we covered that in the last chapter. That verse 8 in some of your translations will, instead of the word fearful, will actually have the word cowardly. Cowardly. Friend, you are the righteous or as bold as a lion. Greater is he that's in you than he that's in the world. Don't be a coward. And there came unto me one of the seven angels, which had the seven vials of the last plagues. Okay, one of these seven, right? He's going to play a role throughout this chapter and the next chapter. It's pretty neat. And he talked with me saying, come here, I'll show you the bride, the Lamb's wife. So now, one of the seven angels, right, of the vial judgments, comes to John and is like, come here, I want to show you something. And he takes him to another place in heaven, another place of a digital library, room of experience of futuristic things, or the revealing in greater pictures to help greater understanding of certain subject matters. I don't know how that works, but in Visionscape, all the regulations of this third dimension are off limits. Like, it's amazing. And he says, come here, I'm going to show you the bride, the Lamb's wife. Now, what he's about to show us or read what he's about to write down to us of what he saw, we don't need to confuse the woman with her habitat, because we're going to read some of the habitat, right? And is this the same moment like before in chapter 19? I'm going to show you the Lamb's wife. The marriage supper is here. We'll kind of tie this in here in a little bit. And yeah. He carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain and showed me the great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God. Now remember, the angel, or the fallen angel, Lucifer, was able to take Jesus to a high mountain and show him the glories and the kingdoms of the world. And he said, behold, all of this has been delegated to me. If you'll just worship me and bow down, I'll give them to you. Of course, Jesus did it the right way, through the cross. And he gained it anyways. It's interesting that this angel now takes John in the spirit. Now this is visionscape, spiritual dimensional experience, okay? Not to a physical mountain to show him a physical city, but through the spirit he's revealing something to him. Having the glory of God, and her light was like unto stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. Great high wall, had 12 gates, and at the gates were 12 angels, not St. Peter. These are angels whose names are written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. And the east 3 gates, north 3 gates, south 3 gates, west 3 gates, and the wall of the city, and 12 foundations, and in them were the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. So we have foundational settings. There's names attached to. There's wild commentary out there, friend. We could literally take each chapter and do like series of studies on each topic of each chapter. That's not my goal here. My goal is to share some eschatological commentary concerning the book of Revelation and some of its now moment applications for you and I, okay? But there's some really great teachings out there on these things of tethering the names of the apostles and the tribes to things within this city. These entrance moments are kind of like personified through the embodiment of the name and the characteristics of the. And so this place is in the future, but yet it's accessible to us now through the kingdom. And we're going to see this in greater manifestation inside the next chapter. But verse 15. And he that talked with me, who's he that talked with me? One of the angels, okay, the 7 last plagues, one of those angels. He that talked with me had a golden reed to measure out the city. And so he measured out the city, he measured out the gates, last 4 square, height, length, width, breadth, which is interesting because we only have 3 dimensions in our experience here. He's got 4 dimensions here. Is he referring to experience within times, like this dimension of time? Very possible. Okay, so we see there's this kingdom. It now is, but it's not yet. The greater fullness is yet to be. And he measured the wall thereof 144 cubits, according to the measurement of a man. That is the angel. In the building of the wall is jasper, and see was pure gold, like unto clear glass. Okay, there's this clear transparency about it. Okay, and the foundation of the wall and the city were garnished with all manner of precious stones. Okay, and he lists off all these 12 stones. And verse 21, the 12 gates were the 12 pearls. Every several gate was of 1 pearl, and the streets was the city was pure gold, like transparent glass. A couple things here. The old saying, God paves, his streets with gold. Like the gold and silver on here is nothing compared to what God, he views money differently. Well, there's another concept of this pure gold being able to see through it is the more purified it is, the more transparent it becomes. There's yellow gold, white gold, etc., etc. And that is one conjecture. Some are translating this as, these stones are more see-through ability, more like diamond ability. You can see through it, light can pass through it, right? So with it being 4 square, length, width, height, and breadth. Okay, well, these 4 squares, okay, so here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, some think of it like a tesseract, like this giant cube. However, if Christ is the chief cornerstone, right, and in him is the light, well, let's read further. And I saw no temple therein. So in this structural building of a city, there is no temple. So we see that this is different than when Christ returns on earth. This is something that is outside of this earth, okay? And the Lamb is the temple. The Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. And the city had no need of the sun, neither the light of the moon to shine on it, for the glory of God did light it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. So if there's all this transparent glass you can see through, that means light can pass through. If Christ is at the top, the chief stone, if you will, and he's the light, that means there will be no shadows, not from a structure of a cube, but rather the structure of a pyramid. Something that's worthy of thought, okay? Because then all light is shining down, and the base gets wider, okay? And at the very top. So there's these thought conjectures of a pyramid type of structure is more of a an architectural plausibility more than a cube. Okay. But either way, if most of it's transparent, there's light all the way through. So, and if you notice, it could be a pyramid and still fit these descriptions, because as it is long, that's as it is wide, and as it is high, the top of the pyramid can still be the exact height as the length and width. Like most Hebraic these fixtures, are they personifications? Are they real things? All these stones. Now, is this the breastplate of the high priest? Can you put like the breastplate, 12 stones, together with these 12 stones? You gotta fool with the transliteration of the languages, but it is kind of possible. And then do you got the 9 stones that are Lucifer's covering revealed in Ezekiel chapter 28? It is very possible. I've seen some people try to do that. Not sure, but just like most Hebraic enigmas, if you have 2 rabbis, you got 3 opinions. Verse 25, and the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night. Well, that's interesting. And they shall bring the glory, the honor of the nations into it, and there shall in no wise enter anything that defiles whatsoever, worketh abomination, or makes a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. All right, 2 things. This multi-dimensional concept of John seeing something through visionscape, yet having to write it down in a 2-dimensional plane to help us understand. If you have a piece of paper, if I were to take a sphere, a ball, now if you lived within the realm of the paper, 2 dimensions, when a 3rd-dimensional object comes through that paper, a person that lives in a 2-dimensional plane would say, oh, look, it's a dot, and then it's a circle, and then it left as a dot. So we saw something that got really small, it got really big, and then it got small again. If I take a ball and push through the piece of paper, for me, it's a sphere. I understand that sphere. They don't call it a sphere, they call it a circle, because that's their dimensional understanding. If I have, let's say, a piece of paper, and I draw 2 triangles, 1, 2, even though they are apart from each other, with my one hand I can touch both of them at the same time, and I can have a touch physical relationship with both of them at the same time, even though they are not touching each other. Same thing for us. Christ and his kingdom can have an individual impact upon humans at the same time. For in the last days, beginning on the day of Pentecost, we have God pouring out of his Spirit, which is everywhere on all flesh, orchestrating beautiful events to reveal himself and to draw us to the desire of the nations. Friend, all the things that we use to enhance our relationship with God, the Bible, prayer, sharing our faith with others, fellowship with one another, etc., etc., these are just tools. These are not power in of themselves. I liken to tools of Christianity much like to the story of Lawrence of Arabia. After the First World War, Thomas Lawrence, who helped the Arabs defeat the Turks and push them back and win wars and victories and stuff, he had took some of the folks with him to Paris, to France. Well, these Arabs who were used to desert life, they weren't used to indoor plumbing, and they kind of walked away with sink faucets and stuff, and the concept was like, why are you bringing a sink faucet with you, brother? And the idea was this: they had thought water came from a sink faucet. And if they just take their sink faucet with them back home to their, to the Bedouin type of life, they'll just set it up and we'll have water. Friend, that's just a tool to allow the water supply to flow to you. So are like Christian tools: prayer, reading the Bible, fellowship with other Christians, sharing your faith with all these things, friend. Those are the water faucets. It's your personal relationship with Christ Jesus that's the water supply. And the more you engage and get better at the tools of Christianity, the more you can allow the water flow, the river of life to flow. Make sure you read chapter 22 for the next episode.